Welcome to the Rise to the Challenge podcast. Joining today, he's a type 1 diabetic, DJ, and entrepreneur. It's Cody Verhulst. How are you doing today, Cody?
What's going on? Happy to be here.
We're so excited to have you on the show to talk about your rise to the challenge. What we like to do with all of our guests is go right to the beginning. Talk about where you're from and what did you like to do when you were growing up?
Yeah, so born and raised Plano, Texas, class of 2013, Plano East, go Panthers. Born into a family of DJs, actually. So outgoing personality, fun. I mean, that was how I was born and raised. Started my first time I ever DJ'd was my 7th grade dance.
Wow.
To be honest with you. Yeah. So I was kind of I'm a big guy, hard to tell through the camera, but I'm 6'7", right? When I was a kid, I was big, but little, so a little chubby. And then I did my first DJ gig and that was it, man. I was a changed man. A lot of confidence comes with getting in front of, especially in 7th grade, your peers.
Yep.
And playing music and get on a microphone. And seriously, that's something that I hold dear to my heart, because that was the first day of the rest of my life where I really got a lot of confidence. And man, from there, I grew 6-7 inches between 6th and 8th grade. I was like Bambi after that. And then I always played sports. I was always a big sports guy, big guy. I loved football, loved sports in general, teams. Got to play football for high school, and then was recruited to play Division I at the Air Force Academy. While I was there, even before then, I had a lot of concussions. And so traumatic brain injuries, like that's what ended my career at the Air Force Academy. Great time there, met a lot of people. That was a very humbling experience as well. But then came home and transferred to the University of Arkansas. While I was there, got my coaching and business education degree. Loved my time there, was the Fiji and the fraternity, enjoyed being there, DJ'd while I was there, picked that back up, kept going after sports and kind of recovering from all the injuries, and started working at the recreation center, the Hyper, all the Hype squad. Became a student manager there and then learned how to be a graduate assistant. My boss introduced me. They were great. They taught a lot of leadership management skills. Took care of us, inspired us. They told us about grad assistantships. And I was like, what's that? I'm the first in my family to go to college, at least with my mom and dad, to try and get a master's degree and then learn to get it free. It's like, hell yeah.
Wow.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. Went to apply to a few different places, got a graduate assistantship at the University of West Florida, where I worked facility operations graduate and special events. So kind of could mix the DJ party, setup, breakdown, strike up, managing a team, trying to grow some great leaders there at UWF and our staff. And then enjoying the life out in Pensacola, got an MBA and got to study abroad. And then long story short, graduated, got back to Dallas, where we were born and raised. I met my wife actually in high school, way backtrack. We weren't together in high school, but knew each other. We're good friends. And then all of a sudden go to Arkansas. She's there. We have a great time. I asked her to move to West Florida with me when I went and got my MBA. We lived in Pensacola. It was an amazing 2 years. Grew a lot just by being somewhere different, doing a lot of different things. DJ'd there on the beach too. That was a lot of fun. And then my wife got her dream job. We aren't married at this point. She gets her dream job here in Dallas at My Possibilities. Shout out to MP. It's a continuing education for adults with disabilities. It's an incredible place. If anyone ever wants to volunteer in Dallas, great place to go and just see something that you can't see anywhere else in the world. It's one of its kind, great facility. I really respect what they do there. And then also, of course, what my wife does there. And so, coming here, supporting her, my father-in-law introduced me to my now boss. And so I actually am a reinsurance broker which a lot of people, you know, probably have never heard of if you're like me. What is a reinsurance? So what we do is we work with insurance companies, and we help them, you know, very generically, and we help them find capital through reinsurance, whether that's typical reinsurance. So like insurance for insurance companies is a very simplistic way of saying it. But we can also get different types of capital structures and like help start businesses and grow different plans and whatnot. So it's been really neat to apply, kind of, rather than going the coaching and teaching route. That was what I thought I was going to do. Follow kind of where my MBA would take me, and then learning what reinsurance is, joining the team at BMS, and then having kind of the opportunity that shows. So now fast forward to a year ago in Pensacola, we were on vacation. I ended up, you know, I kind of feeling bad for a while, right? Like, I don't know, dry mouth, having to go to the bathroom a lot, was losing a lot of weight, and like was super tired all the time. Couldn't, like, you know, I'm an athlete. Like I feel like I'm an athlete, at least. I enjoy, you know, staying physical and whatnot, but I just was so tired. You know, we were on the beach enjoying sugary drinks and fried food and all these different things. And then, you know, really spoiling ourselves with maybe a cookie to go home, right? Get back to the place, hop in the shower, and just like pass out. Wake up in the hospital to a nurse saying, "Hey man, you got type 1 diabetes." I was like, "What?" You know, pardon my French, I'm not going to say the word, but no freaking way. Like, I don't know what diabetes is. I've never thought about what diabetes is. You know, I've heard of it. You know, I've seen things online and on commercials, never really paid attention. You know, I'm 6 when this happens.
Wow.
26. Just wake up in the hospital. "Hey man, you got type 1 diabetes." And I was like, "What?" And you know, really, that was exactly a year ago, and I didn't even plan it. But you know, really from there, it's just been a crazy year, uphill battle. You know, from there, it was like obviously learning how to handle what is type 1, like how does it affect you? What do you need to do? How does it work? How does it, you know, what's the implications of it? Just digesting all that, understanding it, and then fitting it into real life and like handling it every day. Then of course, I shouldn't say of course, you know, next, my dog, love her to death, she starts to have seizures.
Oh
yeah, like maybe a month later, I'm like, "Oh man, this is crazy. Like, what's going on?" Then after that, you know, we've got a pretty crazy kind of family emergency going on, to where my mom was in an accident. We're kind of just dealing with it right now and seeing where that goes. And like, you know, hopefully all the good vibes welcome, you know, she recovers to independency. But, you know, that's the newest challenge right now, is kind of having to learn how to deal with that and support the family and keep moving, and, you know we're all together and just figure it out one day at a time. So, not getting too low. Oh, and it's hard to tell, I actually got shoulder surgery 3 weeks ago.
wow.
Yeah. So rising to the challenge right now.
Well, I'm going to backtrack all the way to your younger days. Growing up in a family of DJs, did it kind of feel the pressure that you kind of had to go into that field in a way, or was this something that was always your decision to start at a young age?
Pressure, I would say not a whole lot of pressure for me. I would, you know, I think it was just something that we did. You know, that was life. Like, my parents worked at the office, we'd go to the office, we'd hang out. I mean, we'd meet cool people, we'd talk to other DJs and clowns and set up bounce houses, and, you know, like just some, you know, me and my friends one time got paid to be Star Wars characters for a bar mitzvah, like a Star Wars bar mitzvah. Another time, you know, a friend and I were dancers and wore like tropical outfits, like just some of the most random things. The past few years, I've been DJ Uncle Sam at Glen Eagles Country Club for
Okay.
4th of July. So it's been such a rewarding thing, like secretly rewarding.
Mhm.
Yes, there was pressure. There's always going to be pressure, like help out and do what you can. But I always enjoyed it, me personally. So
What was your go-to DJ song?
go to depends on the crowd, first off.
That's true.
Okay. I think there's a lot of different ones you could use, but I guess DJ Coco, so the guy in Pensacola that always karaoke'd at the Jellyfish in Florida, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights 2 years ago. My warm-up was always Amber by 311.
I don't think I've ever heard that song.
Look it up if you
Now
haven't.
I'm going to now.
Yeah, it's a very kind of smooth, easy kind of warm-up, tropical, fun song. And typically people who are there would somehow know the rhythm or rhyme to it. It's one of those songs. So
if I had a go-to song as a DJ, it'd probably go with what's my background color right now, the Eiffel 65 blue, I'm gonna get this wrong because my friend's gonna listen. The I'm blue, I'm a deed, I'm a die.
Yeah,
song.
I know
that would be my go-to. I mean, it just brings the classic back. I'm that 90s kind of dance pop EDM kind of guy where I listen to those songs where it's mostly a one-hit wonder, but you're always thinking of those songs. When you hear it, you're like, oh, that was my childhood, things like that. And I don't even know when that song came out, but all my friends are listening to what's going on at that time. Nope, I'm listening to the old stuff. But that was just me. That was my family growing up listening to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of the coolest things, being a son, nephew of DJs. Music was everywhere. So, that's just something that has always been a part of what I do. And it's always, I really enjoy using it to bring energy, drive energy, kind of curate whatever the situation is in a night. There's something about it that's just kind of, for me and likely most other DJs, like exciting. Yeah. And I'm sure like podcasts, right? Like this sense of kind of adrenaline and like curating something, content, whatever it may be, that's influencing behavior or excitement or intellect, whatever it may be.
What would you say the biggest thing you learned about yourself as a DJ? Was there a skill that you didn't know you had in you? Did you have a personality that came out when you were DJing? What's something that it taught you?
Confidence, period.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. I mean, way more than anything else. Like I said, kind of going back to 7th grade, first time ever. My dad helped me set up, brought all the equipment for my middle school dance, set it up for me, like kind of showed me the ropes. Like I had roadied with him a few times, but I'd never done it myself. Right. It was my own middle school dance, set it up, did it. Like from then on, I held my chest higher, spoke a little louder, and just realized, first off, you can do whatever you want. Second off, you can be an expert at whatever you want to be. Just spend some time at it. And 3, when you're performing or like you're in front of people, there's not a single other person out there that probably be able to come up, do what you do, and like have the confidence with it. And like knowing you have that ability to do that. It allows, like today, I didn't, without even second thought, it's like, all right, let's talk to him, let's see how this goes. Because it's been a big in the rest of my life, football, sports, leading folks, whatever, work, helping folks, whatever it may be, kind of just being able to take on whatever it may be, like what's going on now and what'll likely happen in the future,
Sports played a big part in your life. Were you someone that saw it as something towards the future, like a dream job, or what was that dream job that you were wanting?
Growing up, I had a book custom made for me. Like I was a little baby, right? I don't know if I can't remember the exact story, but I was born pretty close to around like the Green Bay Cowboys game back in the day, like in 1995. And it was like a big championship game. I don't remember exactly what it is, so don't quote me. But anyways, I was born. My parents made this like cowboy. It may not even be my parents. Somebody made it for me. That was like, Cody on the Cowboys. From then on, like football, like that was just something in my life. Like I was always big, always encouraged to play sports. Played on some really good teams, kind of growing up. And my dad's got a great story from the first time I played. It was just I wanted to be the quarterback, right? Go out there. They're like, coach is like, all right, what position you want to play? I was like, I want to play quarterback. And he gives me the ball and he said, hits me on the back of the helmet, says, get down. You're going to play center, kid. Or like something like that. I'm like, oh, But, sports has been huge for me. It's very, for me, I learned also, with the confidence, like to keep growing, keep doing my thing. Unfortunately, like I had some injuries. It just kind of deterred anything for too long, but being able, I was being recruited, got to go on a few recruiting, like official recruiting trips. This was all before NIL, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wish I could have gotten paid and had some more, like, at least take a cool t-shirt home or like take a picture in some of that like jerseys like the guys do now, or have graphics made for me. But I was a little pre that. I had my senior year, I got cut pretty low and I compressed a few vertebrae in my neck. I probably had a concussion, couldn't feel things in my like fingers and toes, and kind of just like that was it. Like a lot of the recruiting stopped. And then Air Force picked me up. I had the chance to go play. They had a prep school, did it. And it allowed me to, like, going from a family of DJs to the military academy. Let me tell you.
A big difference.
Big difference. Yeah. Big difference. So football, sports in general, like they'll always have a place in my daily vocabulary, routine, whatever it may be, especially after like getting my shoulder's going to be fixed. I'm going to feel good. Shout out to Diabetes for max out of pocket very early. So I got a free, my shoulder surgery paid for. But yeah, sports has played a huge role in life and just getting me to where I am and helping kind of create the, as a captain and just doing other things, like you kind of learn how to lead folks and like keep people positive and honestly the power of positivity.
Yep.
No matter what's going on, like just keep on trucking. So I wish I could have played longer,
It's always one of those things where with injuries, for me, I had a big back injury, but also mine came after getting thrown off a trampoline too. And it kind of stopped me from playing for a while. And like, even today, I'm still stretching because that's just been my routine. But I always wonder if I continued playing, like what would be my future? Yeah. Would I still be in sports? Would I be in a different shape? Things like that.
Yeah.
So it's always those things, what ifs. You never know. And I'm always taking that injury and not letting it stop me, but now trying to pick it back up in a way. Cause there was that time where I was just not into sports or anything, or kind of getting judged because people in college look at you and you're like, oh, you're not athletic. But then that's why I called myself a wild card, because you never know what I'm going to be like on the field. And then they see me on the field and they're like, oh, we should have picked him first. So I kind of use it as a secret weapon, but injuries just take a toll on people. Even you see now the pros, they don't know what's next. You talked about military academy. Was being in the military ever an idea, or was it more about the discipline and the things the military academy teaches a person that you were taking on?
Not the discipline. Not the discipline. Definitely more the opportunity.
Okay.
Okay. So my parents did well. They were able to help me with college, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, I had a sense of pride. Like I really enjoyed being recruited, but I didn't end up getting as much towards the end, right? So I got left with, shouldn't say left. I was had the opportunity to go to the Air Force Academy and play football, right?
Yep.
It presented an incredible future. Like honestly, compared to, no offense, like going to community college, which I did, by the way. So not, dragging it in the mud by any means, but imagine Air Force Academy. We train you to be a leader in the, finest Air Force in the world. And a lot of them, they push you being a leader. Like I walked in, they took one look at me. I'll never forget. Her name was Master Sergeant Sally M. Wahara. She was maybe 5 foot tall. And she looked at me. I'm 6'7". She looked at me and she said, "Oh, you think you're an athlete, huh? You think you're an athlete?" She's like, "Watch this. Strike the Heisman. Strike the Heisman." And, that was my first impression of the academy. Like it was, anyways, I digress. It was just an incredible future. If you look at any of the guys or girls that I was able to meet in that experience, they're all doing incredible things. Off the back of the cuff, one of my really close ones, he's finished, went through the whole school, got the ring. Stephen Bradford, shout out to my boy. He's flying jets around the world and doing cool ass shit all the time.
Wow.
I've got, other friends that, maybe we're not as close. We don't talk as much, right? But like just following them on social media, multiple are in the Space Force. How cool is that? They're captains, they're officers in the Air Force and the Space Force. They're flying planes. They're doing like really cool stuff. Not to rag on anything that anyone else does, but it just lines you up for such a great future, right? And it's not promised, it's earned. And I figured I could earn it. But when I have history of concussions, I had multiple before I even got there. That kind of unfortunately ended everything for me. But it was an incredible experience, humbling experience, but also, a time where I got through basic training, like got through a lot. I didn't finish, but it was very rewarding. Yeah, I can only imagine like where I'd be, not that it's bad where I am, but where I would be if I had stayed in or like been able to finish. But all in all, met some great people.
Definitely. I think college is one of those places where you meet people that end up being long-term. And that's just my opinion. I mean, I wish I was talking still some people from high school, but after you leave high school, you're kind of all going in 20 different directions. And then college, you're like living with these people 24/7. And so you build that relationship. Something you mentioned was you joined a fraternity. And for you and I, we both went through a fraternity situation, but I went as a diabetic. You didn't go as a diabetic. So our experiences could be a little bit different. Talk about that experience and the different kind of lifestyle that did it change who you were as a person, or were you still the same Cody that everyone knew?
Being in the fraternity or type 1?
Being in the fraternity. We'll talk about type 1 later.
Gotcha. Obviously, fraternity at the University of Arkansas compared to basic training and learning how to be an officer at the Air Force Academy are very different situations and environments.
Yes.
Going through Rush and going to Arkansas was ridiculous. I had never, you see it on TV, see it on social media. Well, I can't remember. I think it was like Total Frat Move or something like that was really big.
Yeah.
On YouTube, like you'd watch videos like Project X, like those kind of things, were in mainstream media, like hyping up what everything was. It didn't disappoint. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of great guys. really some lifelong friendships too there. It's a very different struggle. It's a very different bond, but it's still an incredible one. And not only are you tied to that, but you're tied to a lot of the other, like your alumni. Like it's a different, I didn't finish at the Air Force Academy, so I don't have the ring. I'll never have that clout, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I am like a brother, so we always will have that, not only at Arkansas, but like if I was running into someone who was a Fiji, we'd be able like, oh, no way, and we'd have things we could talk about instantly, just like diabetes.
Yes.
Just because of our experience. And I don't think it changed me. I think it sharpened, right? Like just more kind of stuff to deal with and like things to grow through, and then a lot of fun to have. So I would say having the confidence I had, and then it kind of grew throughout all that stuff and made some good friends and had great times. So
hearing each part of your story so far, confidence has played a big part where each step you took, more confidence happened and where you were able to continue to be yourself. Do you feel that that confidence is still with you today, where you're always exceeding the confidence level because you're still growing as an individual, but no matter what you face, you're going to stand tall and tackle it head on?
Yeah. Every day, honestly, I would love to say yes, but you have your good days and you have your bad days. Overall, yeah, hell yeah. I think I try and will always feel confident, right?
Yeah.
There's also days, with a lot of the stuff going on, looking in the future, listening to the news, doing whatever the heck's going on as a really millennial, right? Trying to figure out, like, I live at my in-laws' house, like I'm trying to buy a house, like it's so expensive. I want to start like whatever that next chapter is with my wife, like get our own place. We have our own struggles, and then it all kind of adds up. So sometimes it's tough to have it, but the majority of the time it's kind of like a reminder, like look in the mirror, you got this, you can do this, like you are confident, and just smile and keep going.
So I'm going to age us because you kind of gave me a clue on how old you are. And I think we're actually the same age.
Yeah.
So you were born in 95?
Yeah.
I was born in 95. So it brings up a great conversation with diabetes, because with us being the same age, you and I had different times where we both got diagnosed, where I was 10 when I got diagnosed and you were 26. Yeah. So there's about a 16 year difference when we both got diagnosed.
Yeah.
Looking at your journey, do you feel that when you got it at the time that you are, it was the right time? Or do you feel that you wish that you got it older to kind of really experience, gain even more knowledge to where you are as an adult? You have a better idea on how to take care of it and things like that, because a lot of diabetics, it's different answers.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I would say, first off, I wish type 1 diabetes on no one.
That's true. I agree with that statement. Yes.
Right. I don't think anyone wants it at any point in time, nor do I ever wish it upon anyone else, because it is a silent homie on your shoulder,
Yes.
Always there, always got to think about it. No matter what you got going on, like you always got to be thinking about it. Okay. I'm glad I got it now, because I couldn't imagine, like you said, you got it when you're 10, right?
Yep.
That was 16 years ago for us, if we're same age.
Yep.
I couldn't imagine all the finger pricking, the like paper mapping, like trying to understand with insulin pens and probably like syringes, not even insulin pens. A, tracking, B, understanding, and then also, like, I guess probably dealing with your parents, like managing it with you too.
Yep.
For me, I was a grown-ass man. I got it. Luckily, technology has been like what's out there right now. Wow. I'm blessed that I can get it, A, B, afford it, like have it. But couldn't imagine like that journey. I also took it very serious when I found out about it, so trying to learn how to handle it, manage it. I was at that age to understand like this is a long term, you've got to buy in, this ain't going anywhere. And shout out to I guess you call my brother-in-law. He married my wife's sister. He got type 1 diabetes maybe a year or two before me, and he was awesome to like lean on. So we always kind of joke the Sweet Smith sisters gave us type 1 diabetes. So we give the girl's dad a little bit of shit for it.
I think you brought up a good point, where at my age, trying to learn all this stuff, I was also in the hospital a week before with bacterial meningitis. So dealing with my spine. So I'm already in the hospital for a week. And then they throw, oh, you're a type 1 diabetic. I'm like, huh? And so spending another week and having to take a big responsibility, and it's a lot of stress on me, but even my family. Yeah. And now living on my own, it's like I'm even more careful because I don't have anyone here. So I've had moments where, whoa, in the middle of the night and I'm by myself and I have to walk down my steps. I'm running into my wall, things falling down my steps, things like that. But I have to deal with it. And there's nothing else I can do. But technology, definitely, because now I just have this just hanging on me all day long. And before it was just the pens where I'm just stabbing myself with a pen all day. I mean, I've gone back and forth, but it's taught me a lot. What's the biggest thing diabetes has taught you about yourself? We kind of said confidence was before, but what is something different diabetes has taught you?
Totally different situation with diabetes. Diabetes is more self-awareness, introspection. Truthfully, I worked hard, played hard, ate hard, I would do whatever, it didn't matter, Sunny D, whatever it may be, whether it was college, whether it was growing up, whatever, I didn't even worry about it. Right. I am very conscious about at least understanding and like breaking down carbs in my head every time I'm eating something, so I'm thinking about, okay, I ate this, where'd my blood sugar go? I can see it in kind of a data guy. I enjoy numbers. And so I have a Dexcom, no promotion, have a Dexcom, no promotion. I have a tandem insulin pump, sign me if you want. But having those has been incredible. Like obviously like I would not be as good as I am without it. When you look at the data and everything, since I've been tracking it, and it's just been really cool. Over a year, I got really, really, really good at it. Let me tell you, I got my A1C down to like 6 or 7 points right away, like my first checkup, right? And then after that, not that I got bad, but I've just noticed like the data is skewing a little higher, right? It's almost like, okay, I got my gold badge, like I'm done. But what I've had kind of last time I looked at it, I don't remember what it was, maybe a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of okay, kick back in, like realize what's going on, just to get back on track. I mean, you know how it is.
Yes.
Always on your shoulder.
Yes. And I love how you mentioned data, because when I was first diagnosed, they gave me the Calorie King book. And I don't know if any diabetic out there has read that. It's literally a guide of every food item, some of the top like chain restaurants and fast food places, and it tells you how many carbs are in the item. Wow. And my doctors would be like, my mom and I make a joke about this because we both hated that book. And I don't even look, I think I still own a copy, and it's from like 2013. And I hated counting. And so nowadays, and my A1C was so high for many, 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 many years. I'm like, I think I felt like I wasn't like accurate with carb counting. And it takes an effect, because if our blood sugars are not good, your body starts feeling it, and it's struggling. But I feel like the last few years I've gotten so much better because I've eaten better. I kind of eat similar stuff, so I kind of don't need to count the carb. Well, I count the carbs. I just know the carbs right off the bat because
Yeah.
I don't have to like search it or anything.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how one extra unit changes your whole day.
Yeah.
It
Oh
feels
yeah.
like.
Mm-hmm.
Has there ever been a time where it's been stressful or struggling and you kind of, I wouldn't say gave up, but you had that give up mentality?
In life, oh yeah. Um, you know, Air Force Academy was hard.
Mm-hmm.
I had head injuries that I was dealing with, and it's hard to assess a head injury, right? And you want hard, folks there, and they're going to
Yep.
get through everything, and they're going to do what they need to do, right? Well, I had an issue. Like I could not get through it. I was depressed. I was in a migraine hell all the time. I couldn't go outside. Like my eyes would hurt. I had a concussion. I had a traumatic brain injury. Like I had an issue. I just couldn't keep up. Academic probation. I wasn't playing football. Like just dealing with the military stuff, and like that wasn't what I went there for. And I didn't know if I could play ball anymore. So I felt like giving up. All in all, I don't think I gave up. I think, I did have an issue. I had a traumatic brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
I was let go. Like I went home and, for a couple months there, like I just was not sure what was next, like going through recovery from that concussion and like just didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to go, like was out of school. I was this Division I tight end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going home, and guess what? Got involved with party time, started DJing. After I kind of snapped out of it, it took me about like 5.5 months to really like get out of and like have the spirit back and like have the mentality and confidence back, right? But after that, like I said, went back to school, started DJing, and ended up at Arkansas, and that was it. So there is always light in the darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can find it, it can get bigger.
How has your wife been supportive with you and diabetes?
Incredible. Just like in everything else. If you look at like our doctors or like emergency, so I've done a lot of emergency contact stuff lately because of surgery.
Yep.
And I just write trophy wife. And it's funny because they will call trophy wife, and like, hey, are you the emergency contact for like Cody Verhulst? He's ready to go, whatever it is. Or it's on the paperwork, like the official surgery paperwork, like trophy wife, and then her number. Anyways, she's been really supportive. She does something that a lot of people can't do. They don't have the patience, they don't have the heart, they don't have the want to, they don't have the leadership ability, they don't have the empathy that she does. But going back to my possibilities, it is a kind of continuing education for adults with disabilities. Incredible place, right? Mm-hmm. They would probably prefer we describe it somehow else, but what she does and like leads that place, it's really incredible. And then her abilities there transfer obviously home and like through whatever situations we're going through. And diabetes happened, bro. She carried 230 pounds on her back into the emergency room, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Like she helped me get there. And unfortunately it was during COVID, so like she couldn't go in there. And so she was just waiting in the rental car, while I was sleeping, getting hydration, and then waking up to, hey man, you got type 1 diabetes. So when she found out, I mean, it was like gung-ho. We got everything done. Like we're in Florida again, so like none of our family are there, so we just had each other. We got through it. It was during COVID, and she's helped dieting, she's helped encourage better habits. Like there's a lot, and she's always do you have a Dexcom?
So I used to have a Dexcom, but now I have the Freestyle Libra.
Okay.
Right.
But maybe you can do the same thing where like they can share your blood sugar. So like, that was like probably the first thing that she did with my phone when I got a Dexcom was share the information. And it's just been right there next to me, like helping me get through it. Always reminds me, say I forget to give myself insulin, encourages good behaviors, with like eating and dieting and exercise. So with a lot of other things, like there's a reason she's my trophy wife.
Aww. I think it's so important to have those support systems in a way, especially with families. They may not understand what we're going through, but I think it's all about the education from us as the diabetics to be able to help them, teach them the signs so that if they see something or hear something, that for us, it's like we rather them say something than not say something. Like my mom and I not joke, but if she notices that I sound like I've been drinking a lot, she kind of on the phone, she's like, "Oh, are you low blood sugar?" And I go, "No, I'm fine." Most of the time, then if I go check, maybe I'm low and sometimes I'm normal, but she just has been aware for so long that if I sound drunk, that most likely there's something going on. And to me, I'd rather her say something than not say something at all. And then her like regret not telling me before. And even with friends, even living in college, joined a fraternity, drinking and stuff, I kind of stayed back in a way. I'm like, I'm not gonna be the party animal. Yeah, I had fun, I did drink, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't ruining people's fun. But I've had those friends where they're checking on me and stuff, and that just shows you the real friendships. How has it been for educating other people for you? Has it been an easy process, or has it been kind of challenging because maybe they don't understand what we're feeling?
So depends on who you're talking to, right?
That's so true.
Depends on who you're educating. Everybody either wants to be educated or is listening because they support you, or C, they're nodding their head and smiling. So that was what you explained about supporting and understanding and willing to learn and like watch signs for. That's my wife, 100%. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. She's with me all the time. Like she's been there since I got diagnosed. Like she knows, right? Like we, all these for weeks. I was like, oh, my mouth is so dry. I need, mouth watering mints and all these different things. Like she knows all the signs, everything. But there's also others, like we talked about, that are interested, but it's hard to sink in. It's so detailed and it's so different, and there's kind of like I'll say biased, like a social bias of like what diabetes is and like what causes it, and just thinking wrapping 1 and 2 and like pre-diabetes all in one diabetic package of understanding and like biases, right? So there's an element of deconstruction education or like deconstructive education to then re-educate, and that person that you're talking to has to be willing to like break down those wrongs almost, or like misunderstandings, to then build them back up. So you need like double attention. So some people that really, like, I guess where I was going with this is the people that really give a care, they're going to be willing to listen and they're going to learn because they want to. Those who don't will feel sorry and like wish you the best and let me know if I can do anything for you, like that kind of stuff, or like nod their head and then just never truthfully understand. So it's a mixed bag, but I've noticed the ones that really listen and trying to understand are the ones that honestly I probably want to be closest to.
No, I agree, because I look at that as they care. I mean, if I look at my friends, if they're asking me, I rather my friends ask me all these questions than don't ask. Because I always say, I'll answer. Like I'm an open book. Just ask.
If I think that's, sorry, I was going to say one thing that you have, right, being 10 years old and having it, is you have like this core group of friends that always like, it's bad, right? Always know you as having diabetes, right?
No, you're exactly right.
So they have like an experience of growing up with you. For me, I'm not, I'm social, but I'm not like social media social all the time.
Yeah.
I don't post a lot. I'm not, screaming from the trees, I have type 1 diabetes. That's not what I do, right? But when I see people, it's like, hey, what's going on? Like, what's new? Like, well, type 1 diabetes. Like, oh, sorry. Like we just keep going. And I get it.
Yeah.
But, like you said, if, hey, we're friends, like maybe I haven't seen you since the Air Force. I mean, like if I tell you like I have type 1 diabetes, like I would hope you go, oh yeah, like tell me more. Like,
yes.
I want to know more. Like, I have a family member, like this is how, like my relation to it, or asking questions, because it like you said, I think it means more when someone genuinely tries to understand it.
I've had an interesting experiences last year where I interviewed a guy for my show who was a type 1 diabetic, and that was maybe a year and a half ago, and now he's my boss. And so, and I work from home. And so anytime I'm like away, or I'm like, hold on, I can't, I'm taking care of Lau, he's like, okay. Like he understands like what that's going through. So it's like having those people even in a workplace that understand same way. But like you said, like they're my core friends right now, they've only known me as a diabetic because I had it before I met them. And so to me, it's definitely with diabetes, people feel like that's my identity. And I did a post about something about this where, oh, sometimes I feel like giving up because that's my identity. But to me, I'm just a normal person. Like if you take the insulin pump off me, I'm still Alex. Like nothing's going to change. I just have to do a few extra things. And other people, if they're having a condition or they have certain things that like routines and stuff, they're still that normal person. They just have to do a little bit extra. So for my big thing is, I don't like when people say, and I don't know if you get this, well, my family says, oh, well, you can't have that. Oh, you can't eat that. And I go, who said I couldn't eat that? I didn't say I couldn't eat it. I just choose not to eat it because I'm looking at my health. And you mentioned the Sunny D. Do you still have Sunny D now?
No, I moved on for those days.
If there was a sugar-free version, you would.
Yeah, it's very likely. Yeah.
So you talked about you just went through shoulder surgery. When you recover and you're feeling better, what's the first thing you want to do?
Shoot a basketball.
Okay.
Easy enough.
Go for those 3-pointers.
Yeah. Oh no. Give me the free throw line. That's where I'm trying to be my best. Recreational, like men's basketball, get fouled all the time. I'm gonna make those free throws count. Like that's what I want to do. But yeah, starting out, like I used to, when I was working at West Florida, every day grab a basketball because I worked in the gym. Right. Yep. So like I was out, hey, I got 10-15 minutes. Like I'm just gonna go in my, slacks and a polo, like just go shoot some hoops. Like it's a release for me, right? Well, my right shoulder, it's the one that's fixed now. Like that's my shooting hand. I'm trying to learn with my left, but it's more difficult than you'd think.
I always wonder, I'm like, when you mentioned, I'm like, how do I shoot a basketball? And I'm like right-handed, but I shoot left-handed. It's just, and I'm thinking that does not feel comfortable for me. Everyone's just going to be listening. They're just going to start like acting like they shoot a basketball now. If they're listening audio, they're probably doing the same thing.
Oh yeah. It's like, oh yeah, shoulder surgery. Oh yeah, you can't do that.
Yep. So what does the future look like for you? What are you hoping to accomplish in the next few years, both personally and professionally?
That is deep.
The toughest question you'll be asked.
Yeah. I hope every year I just can see it as positive, staying confident. Like I don't really know what the future holds right now. There's a lot, going on. My wife and I have aspirations of a lot of different things. It's just, right now we've got a great plan. We're just kind of laying low, saving money, figuring it out, taking it one day at a time. So, like I said, I think just continually to grow positively, get more involved, like say maybe in the community here before, like if we move out of this area, like I grew up here, so it's kind of cool to like give back if I can. I feel like I've got some experiences that I could share with like say a high school, player, whatever it may be, like help with the football team, like just watch, kind of get back to the community that I grew from, and just make a decision for, like my wife and I, like what's next, So I guess tangible things, 10 for 10 free throws in a row. Other tangible things, like 10, 15, maybe even 20, 25 push-ups in a row. Like that would be great. Within a year, have my shoulder back, get back to at CrossFit now. So like get back kind of doing that. And I said some pretty good stuff pre-surgery, and that was that was with a 100% torn rotator cuff and a tear in my labrum. So like, what could I, now that it's fixed, like what can I get back to, so push myself there and maybe learn a new hobby.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. I've always kind of wanted to do the ukulele, but I just never have given enough attention. So I always think like big guys with ukuleles are really cool and funny.
You'll never see that.
No.
So, you talked about fitness, and would being like, I look at the first 10, we'll go first 14 years of being a diabetic, and my fitness was horrible. And these last 2 years, I kind of changed my life. And you mentioned the push-ups. I could be lucky if I did 10 push-ups and not feel like I'm going to pass out. Now I'm at that stage where I can do 30 and then I pass out. And so awesome. It's like, why now am I like, I need to do this? And it's like, why couldn't I start this years ago? I think it's just a mental thing. I think that's the biggest thing. And definitely with you coming off the surgery, you're having that mental kind of mindset of what can I do now that I wasn't able to do before? And that's like a rise to the challenge right there, because you have a challenge in mind and you're going to rise to accomplish it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, got a great coach. We're already doing some things like, oh, my legs are sore. We didn't do anything with my shoulder, but we did a whole lot of body weight, like strengthening the legs. I was like, oh man, really? We're doing this? But yeah, I agree with you, man. There's a lot to overcome and just keep going. So excited to have my shoulder back.
Yeah, I bet. So I'm going to ask you that big question. Before the recording, people probably didn't know you asked about this question that I'm about to ask you. So the final question I'm going to ask you, for someone that's listening to this interview based on your journey and experience, what tips or advice would you give them to overcome obstacles, accomplish their goals, and rise to the challenge?
All right, I'm going to name the roller coaster Rise to the Challenge.
Trademarking that.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty damn corny, but with your ups, you have your downs.
Yep.
As great as it can be just as bad. And it can be just as bad as hopefully it will be just as good,
Yep.
I'm a true believer in karma and just, I guess, let's say waves. And I do believe that as low as it may get, there's going to be positive. You just keep, like I said, if there's a little bit of light, go for it. It'll grow.
Yep.
I think confidence is key, and just knowing that better days are coming. It's truthfully true. It's not, you're not running a relay, a sprint, like you're running a marathon, right?
Yep.
With life. So just, when you need to, put your head down, grind, lean on the people that you have closest, and you can rise to any challenge you need to.
Well, Cody, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about your rise to the challenge. You're inspiring so many people, and we're excited to see what the future looks like for you.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.